Lighten up, take me on your magic river. Tell me all your dreams align. Sign me up and tell me about the people that you know who are trying to feel alive. Life can get hard, so honey, if you need to cry, just come share my pillow and rain, rain, go away. I wanna hear about everything you're ever thinking. You know that I can take
romance book on my TBR. I am a third of the way into it and we'll get to what that is about in a minute, but let's look at the books that I plan to read this week. But first we have our weekly quote, and that is, "If we wait until we're ready, we'll be waiting for the rest of our lives," by Daniel Handler. I think this is the first quote by a man we're getting this, but it's so true and it's so scary to think about, and honestly I don't like thinking about it, but we should. Here is my planner, and oh, I had to not switch to a new page because it is the 17th today. But the book that I am about to get into and what I read in the morning and when I work out is Flower Children by Maxine Swan. This is a short story collection and they're all, you know, interconnected. I think it's all told from the same perspective, but it is about kids of hippies who were growing up at that time in the 1970s and how they ended up, what life was like to be a kid in those situations of going to protests, going to concerts, that kind of thing. So that is what I'm about to get into. But now the main focus of the vlog is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Again, I am about a third of the way into it. I have read 213 pages, and let's see what the back of the book says. He wants to save her, she wants to hide, she's damaged, he's determined. Fate brought them together, love binds them. Johnny Canova, I know I'm doing the audiobook, I need to know how to say that, has everything going for him. On the rugby pitch, he's a force to be reckoned with, even plagued with a hidden injury. Everyone knows he's heading straight for the top, but that means there's no room for mistakes or distractions. Not even the shy new girl at Tom in college. The one with the sad eyes and concealed bruises. He needs to stay focused, keep his cool, and not let anything get in the way of the bigger picture. Except before he knows it, this lonely girl has become his only picture. Life has never been easy for Shannon Lynch. Bullied and tortured, she arrives at Tom in college midway through the school year, praying for a fresh start and desperate to shake off the demons that plague her. But when she meets the notorious Johnny Kavanaugh on her first day, her plans to keep a low profile are at serious risk. As they fall into a complicated friendship and grapple with the undeniable chemistry, hidden pain and complicated secrets threaten to be their undoing. But Johnny won't give up on Shannon, no matter what it might cost them both, and honestly this is giving me 3-star vibes at the moment. Now my mood read, I will hopefully be finishing this because this is given 2-star vibes. That is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. This is about a couple where the woman in the relationship is a mommy influencer and she is posting their kids on social media and all that, and then you have Dan, who is the husband, and he is a writer, and then you have the point of view of like a stalker, I guess. It's the person who is going to commit the crime, and it's just what putting your kids on the internet, what it can do. And then we have my ebook, because I do like to have a physical copy as well, because I am annotating and all that. But this is Go Tell the Bees That I'm Going by Diana Gabaldon. This is the 9th and most recent book in the Outlander series, and this one is about a family during the American Revolution with some time travel elements involved. Time for update number 1. I got to 44%, which was 56 pages read, and I got to chapter 30 and Binding 13, and we are going to go through all of my notes that I took today. Where do they start is the question. Okay, right here. Not that many notes because it's just so slow burn. And I think that is, okay, we'll get to that in a minute. But she keeps referring to everybody as a stranger when she has been at this school for a few months, but I didn't really tell y'all what was happening. This is such a slow burn romance, and we're just going through the notions of really about what today. I think the main focus was what is happening to Shannon at home and what her home life is like, and Johnny just having to accept that he is injured and it's going to have an impact on his career one way or another. As I was saying, like, she's been at this school a few months now. I think we're in like March, and she, you know, got there after Christmas break, so about 2 months, and still she even views Johnny as a stranger still, and I'm like, these people are not strangers, they are acquaintances, just accept it, they're fine. That's just driving me crazy. And then on chapter 22, I made the note of this being repetitive. And as I keep saying, this is a slow burn. We're this far into it, and our couple has not got together or anything like that. I don't know if that's spoilery or not, but as I was saying, it's very repetitive. We're going through the same notions over and over again about her home life being really bad. And I'm like, okay, we get it. And with him, all just about rugby and how obsessed he is with her, and it's just the same thing over and over. We're going in circles, and I was like, maybe it is because it's slow burn, because we're just having to fill that time of waiting for them just to being drawn to one another but not being together. And that made me think, have I ever read a successful slow burn romance? I don't know. But if I think to what I read last week, Out on a Limb, that was perfectly paced, and that book went like 9 months, you know, it went a whole pregnancy. That's like the plot of the book. And it never felt slow. It never felt fast. It was just so organically done. When this is just feeling so slow that we're just going over the same thing over and over again. I think that could have been fixed by just time jumps, maybe. I don't know. This is a 600-page romance book. And then we get to chapter 26. She legit said, I'm not like most girls. She literally said that. And that's why she annoys me so much, is because she's like, we talked about last week, she's like, I don't have any celebrity crushes. I don't really keep up with pop culture, but I like dogs. That was more English than Irish, I'm sorry. But like, it's so much of her as being, I'm not like other girls. I'm so different. And I'm so small and he's so big, and I'm like, shut up. And her whole chapters are her moping about how awful her life is. But I do want to talk about the mental health depictions. No, nobody in here is diagnosed with any kind of mental disorder that I'm aware of, but I do think it is done quite well, just depicting anxiety and PTSD. I think both characters have PTSD, of the one diagnosing with Shannon with the bullying she's been through. And I think the injury and the aftermath of the injury has really had a huge impact on Johnny's life. And I think that the mental health depictions have been quite well. And how these characters, I don't feel any chemistry between them. I mean, it's obviously that they like each other and have crushes on each other, but that's because that's what the book is telling me. But with Shannon, I think she just thinks he's so attractive because she does not really trust this guy, but kind of trust him. I know, it's so hard to explain, but she obviously likes him, but doesn't want to admit to herself that she likes him. But I think she's really drawn to his looks. And with Johnny, he's so obsessed. He fell first, and like first meeting, you know, love at first sight kind of thing. And I think it's like the hero complex. He sees her as weak and vulnerable, and he wants to protect her at like all costs. And I think that he honestly just likes the idea of her. And again, she's not like other girls. She doesn't have the big boobs and isn't like chasing after him, you know, like that's what it seems like. And yes, I did make the boob comment because these are teenage boys. They talk about that stuff all the time in here. And then we have So Dramatic, where this is the second romance I've read where a guy flips a table in a restaurant. Yeah, second one. I've never seen anybody flip a table in a restaurant, and I hope I never do, because I will judge them tremendously. And it's not my place to judge, I know, but I would judge them tremendously and think they are a child, which I guess technically he is literally a child. He's 17 years old, but he flipped and he's like, I'm not, like, he's good friends with the boss of the restaurant or the owner, because the owner is really, he really cares about Johnny's diet because he has to be on a special diet because of sports and whatnot. But Johnny's like, I'm not coming back to your restaurant if you don't get these annoying people out. Like, he thinks the other ones who were Shannon's bullies in the past, he doesn't want to eat at the restaurant because of them. And I'm like, dude, he can't control who's at his restaurant. Like, business is business. But yeah, it's very dramatic, but I have to remember our male main character is 17, our female main character is 15. So they're teenagers, everything. The emotions are so heightened. Everything feels like it could be the end of the world or the start of something new. And yeah, I just have to keep in mind that this is young adult. I talked about last week, it's very raunchy for young adult, but it is young adult. And I would definitely feel dirty reading this as a teenager. But that's all for the notes on Binding 13 for the day. I'm honestly shocked that this is so popular and is the highest rated romance book on my TBR. I'm honestly amazed by that. Happy Tuesday. Let's talk about where I'm at with my reading. I got to 54% in Binding 13, which was 58 pages read. I am almost done with the first audiobook. For some reason, they split this audiobook into two. I think that's super strange because I've read books longer than this where it's all one audiobook. I don't know, and I didn't put the blanket here so it doesn't look pretty. But let's see my notes. So we start on chapter 30, and so Joey is Shannon's brother and his girlfriend is Aoife, yeah, and I like the name Aoife, and I just made note of that. I think it's a pretty name. It's just like Reef without the R. Aoife. Yeah, Aoife though. Oh, okay, that's, yeah, with the E at the end, Aoife. And then, yeah, they have a pronunciation guide for the Irish names. Let me show y'all. They have a name pronunciation and then a glossary for some of those Irish slang terms. But then we have chapter 31, and this is just notes that I was making that I have been thinking, but I wanted to write them down, and it just happened to be during chapter 31, is of why I don't like either of our main characters. I mean, I don't hate them or anything. They're fine, but this is what I don't like about them. Is that Johnny, his hero complex, having to be so protective of her, it makes me kind of angry, and we'll talk about that with the last chapter I read today, chapter 35. But so with Johnny, it's his hero complex, and with Shannon, it's, I'm not like other girls. My life is so awful. And then something I've noticed with Irish fiction is a class divide, and I don't know really why that is, and that's why I'm coming here to talk about it, is, so we see it in this book. Johnny is, he has a big, they call it the manor, you know, it's a gated house and everything, and then Shannon just like, she's like, my whole house could fit in your hallway. And then other books that have this are Normal People by Sally Rooney. I'm sure y'all have heard of Normal People, but oh, what are the characters' names? I'm totally blanking on the characters' names, but they both have like one girl. The girl is from like a rich background, and the guy, his mom, is like the cleaner of her house. And then small things like these, we see just the poverty in Ireland. And I'm just really curious, why is there such a big class divide? It seems anyway that's a big class divide in Irish fiction. What's the cause of that? Is there like an economic crisis going on right now? In Ireland, I am not sure, so that's why I'm coming here to ask y'all about it. And I just feel like it's gonna be something really hard for me to research to find the answers that I'm looking for, but I mean, I might try. And then Johnny is so obsessed with her, and they're literally just acquaintances, but at the same time, as we talked about yesterday, these characters are teenagers. Everything is just heightened for teenagers, feeling like this is it, you know, like this will, that this is like, this could be his love of his life or whatever, you know. And then we had chapter 35, which is the last chapter that I read today, and we have Johnny who is, he's questioning Joey, who, as I said, Joey is Shannon's brother. He's like, what's wrong with her? Why does she have bruises, all this? He's like, are you abusing her? And Joey's like, I don't think it's my place to tell you. And he's like, well, why aren't you going to tell me? And all that, like, getting really like in his face about it. And I'm like, it's not his place, it's Shannon's place to tell Johnny when she is ready and if she's ever ready. And if it's just like really making me angry how like possessive and protective he is over her when they are literally just acquaintances. Like, it blows my mind. Like, yes, you can be protective of women. Like, I've had great instances of where guy friends will just, like, step in, but, like, it's never been so overbearing that I read in romance books. Archer's Voice is the other book I'm thinking of that I read last year, which I did love that book, but my fault with it was the overprotectiveness, and it's just insane to me how people can find that attractive. I'm like, I can stand up for myself and I know what's best for me. I mean, that's always like, shit, do you really know what's best for you? But you know, like, I think I know what's best for me. And if I want to open up to you, I will. Like, you don't need to push me around, even though you think you're being protective. I honestly think it's kind of abusive, if I'm being honest with y'all. So those are my notes for today on Binding 13. I did get some Italian food today, and tomorrow is like another going to be a snowy, kind of sleety day here. Sleety, I don't know if that's a word, but it's going to be sleeting, and so who knows what the schedule is going to look like then. And okay, that's his hair. I was like, what is that right there? But yeah, so weather update, but we should finish People Like Her tonight, so the next clip is probably going to be my review of that book. I have finished People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. We're going to do my review, but here's the bookmark I made back in elementary school. And you know, that was like over 15 years ago, and those leaves are still in pretty good condition. But let's do my review. I haven't done my runner review, so I don't know exactly what I'm reading this book so far. But let's just go through Kapow together here. Let's talk about our characters. I do like the ideas of these characters, of having the family vlogger, you know, mom influencer, and then having her husband to see the outsider perspective, and then you have your stalker. I like the ideas of those characters, but let's talk about why it didn't work for me. With Emmy, who is the mom, it just felt very like there was a lot of telling rather than showing. We weren't actually seeing these scenes that were happening with her. So everything with her just felt superficial, which I think could be intentional, that it's just supposed to seem really fake and everything. And then with Dan, who is the husband, again, I liked having that outsider perspective, the family member of an influencer, and just seeing the influencer lifestyle from not their perspective, but from somebody close to them. But he extremely irritated me. His character arc did not make any sense to me whatsoever. And with our like stalker POV, I just wish there was more conclusion to that. I did not feel anything, like I did not feel a connection towards any of these characters. Now the atmosphere, British, but I never felt thrilled. This is a thriller, and again, there was a lot of telling, not showing. When we could have been seeing these scenes, we could have been feeling that anxiety. We really don't get any of that till the very end, and then it's just kind of cut off and just was not executed properly. The writing, now this is a writer duo. I'm assuming because this is a married couple writing this, so I'm assuming the husband wrote the husband, the wife wrote the wife, and it just didn't feel like, it didn't flow well. Like, it would just change completely, and it's not even saying from POV to POV it changed. It was, the storytelling was just different. It felt like you were just getting this in all told in different kind of ways, and now by the end of the book I am kind of curious, because at some points it felt like this was like a documentary that you were watching and they're talking to the camera telling you all of this. And in other parts, it just felt like a regular old book. Let's talk about the plot. The plot, in theory, is a great plot, and I was really intrigued by it. And I do think this book has a good message that you need to be careful of everything that you're putting out there. And as an influencer, you need to be aware that you are influencing people's lives, and you just need to be really aware and alert when you're on the internet and what you're putting out on the internet. I think that is very important in this day and age that we live in. And there was intrigue. I was really curious to know who is behind everything. And yeah, but I didn't really like this book too much. It didn't do a whole lot for me. That's why I think it's going to be in the 2-star category, but you can check out my Goodreads or any other of the social medias and I will have a review there. I'm debating, do I pick up another mood read or do I push this to reading in the 9 o'clock hour as well, since this book is so big. But now since I'm over the halfway point, I'm like, should I do that? I don't know. We'll just have to see what I decide on. It's Happy Wednesday. I'm dressed in like nice clothes because I have left the house already today. But it is so cold. The actual temperature is 40 and it feels like it's 25 and it's only getting lower and it's supposed to rain and then turn to snow. It's cold. I was gonna go to a college basketball game tonight, like here in my hometown, but no, I'm not going out tonight. I don't want to be out at night in this weather and all the way across town. Like, no, I don't want to get stuck on a college campus in snow. That just does not sound appealing at all to me. But I did get a card, a Valentine, from my cousin Jen, and I just want to show, look at him. That little heart is so cute, but I love doing something with the, in my journal. Like, y'all know I have that tape that will like stick it to the page. I know you could use glue or anything, but I thought that'd be really cool with like cards, and then you can just, so you can keep all of this and then just pull out the card in my journal. So I'm definitely going to try that, and I really do need to get around because I have so much stuff I want to put in my journal and just haven't got around to it. But I thought that'd be super cool to just keep cards that way, because y'all know I'm looking at my journal all the time, and I just think it's a great way is to look back at memories. But yeah, thank you to my cousin for sending me this. It's so cute. I know I keep being like, I don't want to show addresses, but yes, this is such a cute little card. And with the typewriter, we went to like an antique mall. Is it antique mall? Is it antique mall or antique mart? I think it's mall. And there was a typewriter there, but it said like, do not press, but I wanted to press it so bad. I didn't, but I'm like, oh, that's so tempting. And then you put the sign there that makes it more tempting. But yes, I want to show you all that because one, super sweet, and then I want to share my idea of how I want to keep my cards in the future. Just, you know, kind of like tape them in. This is not my journal, but like tape them in and just be able to pull the card out. I think that would be super cute, and that is the plan. So I am going to get into reading, and I did pick what my next mood read's going to be, but it's like, am I going to start it? Because I'm already at over 6 days into reading Binding 13, I think. No, maybe tomorrow will be 6 days, because I'm averaging this month finishing a book. It takes me about 6 days to finish a book. And I'm like, since I'm already over that almost, do I want to add another one to the stack right now? And my guts tell me no, just stick with Binding 13, so I might do that, but that means the updates are going to be a little later at night, so keep that in mind. It's time to do the nightly update, and I think I literally just scratched my forehead with my nail. That's kind of annoying, but I got to 65% in Binding 13, which is 66 pages read, so a lot of 60s going around. I didn't take that many notes today, but I will go through the ones I did take. So in chapter 40, Gibbsy is my favorite character, but we have since been introduced to Johnny's mother, and I'm liking her as well. I don't know what her first name is, but Johnny's mom. But yeah, so Gibbsy, I think he's just like, he's cute, he's an athlete, he's funny, and I would say he's probably like the goofball of the group, and usually with sports teams, those are my favorites, or like the goofball. So yeah. And then 42, Shannon, you're so much better than the other girls for not gossiping about the guys. Like, let me tell you, when you're 16 in a locker room, girls have locker room talk too. I'm not lying, they do, and excuse this thing, but yeah, so she's like, I really don't want to be talking about him and all that. And I'm like, bye. And then in chapter 42, we do get the, what the title means. And then again in chapter 42, it was a really long chapter. This is a theory. I think Johnny's going to fight her dad and it's gonna be like a big uproar, like it's gonna be in the papers and everything. Now, I have no idea that's gonna happen again. This is just a theory. I'm not gonna say why I believe this or any of that, but that's a theory. And then it's funny when Shannon says, she's like, whoa, like in the audiobook. And I just think it's so funny every time because I don't know, it just sounds kind of weird, like, whoa. Like, yeah, I just think it's kind of funny. It's probably not really that funny, but the audiobook is free if you have Audible, and if you want to hear her say that, just know that it is on there. But that is where we got. I should finish this in, what, like 4 days now? I don't know what day it'll be. Today's the 19th. 19 plus 3 would be 22, so the 23rd is when I should finish this. But again, yeah, so I guess I will be starting my mood read today since I already logged my reading for this for the day. So we will be starting my mood read, which we will talk about that. We'll talk about it right now. Why not? So I will be starting this book today. I got this on like Black Friday for free a few years ago. And that is, it might have even been last year, but that's The Sunshine Girls by Molly Fader. Two friends, a lifetime of secrets, one sparkling story. So this is a historical fiction because technically if I did go through my mood reads, the first one to come up was a romance, and I just don't want to be reading 2 romance books at the same time, so I picked up the historical instead. So this is, oh my gosh, look at all the hair on that, but I don't even know where all that came from. But okay. 1967 Iowa. Nursing school roommates Betty Kay and Kitty don't have much in common. A farmer's daughter, Betty Kay, has risked her family's disapproval to make her dreams come true away from her small rural town. Cosmopolitan Kitty has always relied on her beauty and smarts to get by. Beauty and smarts, lucky, but to get by and to hide a devastating secret from the past that she can't seem to outrun. Ooh, maybe not so lucky. Yet the two share a determination to prove themselves in a changing world, forging an unlikely powerful bond on campus, unkind to women. Before their first year is up, tragedy strikes, and the women's paths are forced apart. But against all odds, a decades-long friendship forms, preserving through love, marriage, failure, and death, from the jungles of Vietnam to the glorious circles of Hollywood. Or glamorous, I think I said glorious, but it's glamorous, circles of Hollywood, until one snowy night leads their relationship to the ultimate crossroads. 50 years later, 2 estranged sisters are shocked when a famous movie star shows up at their mother's funeral. Over one tumultuous weekend, the women must reckon with a dazzling truth about their family that will alter their lives forever. So here's to hoping that this is good. I don't know if this is indie published or not. I'm not familiar with this publication, but I do see the writer lives in Canada, so it might be a Canadian one, but Graydon House right there. I've never heard of that, but it sounds like we could have like some Taylor Jenkins Reid vibes with like Evelyn Hugo. Malibu Rising is the kind of vibe I'm getting, but since this is 67, it would be more in the Daisy Jones era. I was thinking the other day, because this guy on 60s Gold, that's the Sirius XM channel for 60s music, was saying like, I forget what year it was his favorite year in the 60s, but I'm always drawn to 1967. I don't know why. That's just, I think that would be my favorite year in the 60s. Again, I don't know why. I'm just always drawn to that one. Past life, who knows? But we will be starting this one today, and the font looks fairly big, and I really appreciate that, just making something easy to read. And I mean, this is a pretty cool cover. I love all the colors. This is definitely probably more of a summer read when, you know, it was sleeting earlier, but we will start that and see what I think. Hopefully I enjoy it. I don't know what kind of bird this is. I mean, look how big this is. Sitting on the trampoline of the people who live behind me. He's huge. I like had to get this camera to zoom in to make sure it was actually a bird. Time for the last reading update of the vlog. So I read 67 pages in binding 13, which got me to 76% of the way into the book. So I'll probably finish this over the weekend. Let's go through my notes. There's not that many. As I talked about the 2005 setting in last week's vlog and pop culture references, we did get GTA mentioned, and I was totally not expecting that at all. And then in chapter 45, so he's having this talk with his mom about Shannon being like, about Shannon, and the things that he's saying, I was stunned that a teenage boy would be telling his mom all of this. Like, good on them for having a good relationship, but I could not imagine talking about that with a parent. Just know some thoughts you should keep to yourself, or maybe just tell your very close friends. Yeah, just very strange. And I was certain that Shannon would just like overhear this conversation. And then in chapter 46, the way he questions her, how we talked about how he was questioning her brother, now how he questions her, I think it's so abusive. I think this is a toxic relationship here. I don't understand why this is the highest rated romance book on my TBR, because honestly, I think this Johnny guy's abusive. There are so many red flags with him, and I think when he is a full grown man, he would beat his wife, which is like awful to say, but I honestly believe that. It's just awful how he treats the people around him, and then how he was questioning Shannon in this chapter. I thought it was gross. Now, yes, I am well aware that he's 17 years old, and if you are in this situation, really, you should like go to an adult. And I feel like most teenagers know that. Like, if you are having these concerns, tell a teacher, tell your parents. Especially his dad is a barrister, which I think is equivalent to like a lawyer or something. So like, there's so many other options than just going up front with it, and it's honestly toxic. And then chapter 50 was way too much. Like, the bullying and having this bully, I'm like, there's reason why she is being a bully, but they just have this character there to have a bad person in this book, and I think it's just really bad how the book treats her, in all honesty. Yeah, I don't understand the hype with this one at all. So all these books that with this project so far with like the two highest, because last month was Leviathan Weeks. This month it is Binding 13. I have no clue how these are the highest rated books on my TBR. So hopefully in March with historical fiction it will be better, which the poll for our Fable book club's pick for March will be coming out tonight. So if you're watching this, you can click the Fable link in the description of this video and be sure to vote on the poll. Next week's vlog will be my reset vlog, so getting ready for March. I don't know if we're going to be reading For All the Right Reasons or Texas Rich. Both are ebooks, and then we could even do my nonfiction, but the nonfiction's the last option. I want to get through these romance books, so it's going to be either one of those. It's going to be an ebook reading vlog with kind of historical and old like mass market romance. That's going to be fun to experience, but they are two of the highest rated romance books on my TBR. Let's go through a like weekly wrap up here. I completed one book with People Like Her, and I do think I could, I don't know, well, I do think I'll finish Binding 13 by the end of the week. And we have started one book with the Sunshine Girls. I have not hauled any books this week. I'm allowed to haul one more book, at least purchase one more book, because I am going to go to a little free library tomorrow and another one by the end of the month. So I could get free books, but I can only purchase one more book. And I have read over 100 pages every day this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave a heart emoji, maybe a USA emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.